I thought I had found the one. Her name was Harper, and for 6 months I believed she loved me for who I was. A mechanic. A guy who spent his days under Hood's hands, covered in grease making engines purr. I owned my own shop, Giles Auto Works, a place my father built, and I had turned into something real, something profitable. But Harper never talked about that part. She never asked about the business side, the investments, the properties. She just saw the oil stains on my hands and the smell of gasoline that never quite washed away. I thought that did not matter to her. I thought she saw past all that. Until I overheard a phone call that shattered everything. Before I get into what happened next, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. Drop your city, your state, your country. Hit that like button and smash that subscribe if you have ever felt underestimated or used by someone you trusted. Because this story gets wild, and you will not believe how it ends. Trust me when I say sometimes the trash really does take itself out. So here is how it all fell apart. I am Giles, 32 years old, born and raised just outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My dad taught me everything about cars, how to listen to an engine, how to feel when something was not right, how to fix what most people would just replace. When he passed away 5 years ago, he left me the garage. It was not much back then, just a small shop with 2 bays and a handful of loyal customers. But I built it up. I specialized in luxury vehicles and classic restorations. Wealthy clients who appreciated craftsmanship, people who did not mind paying for quality work. The business did well. Better than well, actually. I made good money. I invested smart. Real estate. Index funds. I owned the building where the garage sat. I had a rental property downtown, but I never flashed it around. I drove the same 1998 Ford F-150 my dad left me. I wore jeans and work boots every day. My hands were calloused and stained no matter how much I scrubbed. And I was fine with that. I loved what I did. There was something honest about working with your hands, about taking something broken and making it whole again. Then Harper walked into my life. 6 months ago, she brought in her BMW. Some electrical issue. She was 29, worked in marketing for some big firm downtown. She wore tailored blazers and heels that clicked when she walked. Her hair was always perfect. She smelled like expensive perfume, not motor oil and brake fluid. We were opposites in every way. But when she smiled at me, when she thanked me for fixing her car and asked if I wanted to grab coffee, I thought maybe opposites really did attract. Our first date was at a diner, nothing fancy. I showed up in clean jeans and a button-down, but my hands still smelled faintly of degreaser. I apologized. She laughed and said she liked a man who worked with his hands. That he was real. We talked for hours. She told me about her job, about growing up in Connecticut, about moving to Pittsburgh for work. I told her about the garage, about my dad, about the satisfaction of hearing an engine roar back to life after weeks of work. She seemed interested. She seemed genuine. 3 months in, she suggested moving in together. I hesitated. It felt fast. But she made a good case. Her lease was ending. We were spending every night together anyway. Why not make it official? So I found us a loft downtown. High ceilings, exposed brick floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. It was expensive, but I could afford it. I put my name on the lease. Harper contributed nothing. I paid rent. I paid utilities. I did not mind. I thought that was what you did when you loved someone. But then, small things started to feel off. Harper never introduced me to her friends. When she had work events, she went alone. She would say I was busy, that I could not make it. But I was not busy. She just never invited me. One night she hosted a dinner party at our place for some colleagues. I came home early from the garage, still in my work clothes, still carrying the smell of the day. She introduced me to her guests awkwardly. This is Giles. He works in automotive, not a mechanic. Automotive. Like she was embarrassed to say the word. I started noticing other things too. She would talk about upgrading our lifestyle, about how all her friends carried designer purses and took trips to Europe. She would ask when I planned to expand the business, open more locations, hire managers, so I did not have to get my hands dirty anymore. I tried to explain that I liked getting my hands dirty, that I did not want to be some absentee owner sitting in an office. She would nod, but I could see the disappointment in her eyes, like I was not ambitious enough, like I was not enough. One afternoon she said something that stuck with me. We were at the grocery store and she ran into someone from her office. The woman asked what I did. Harper paused just for a second before saying, "I owned a small business. Not a garage. A small business. Vague. Safe." I felt my stomach tighten, but I brushed it off. Maybe I was reading too much into it. Maybe she just did not want to bore people with details. But deep down, I knew. She was ashamed of me. She was ashamed of what I did. And that hurt more than I wanted to admit. Still, I told myself it would get better. That love was about accepting each other, flaws and all. That maybe she just needed time to see that what I did mattered, that it was valuable, that I was valuable. I was wrong. 3 weeks ago, everything I believed came crashing down in the span of a single phone call. It was a Friday night. I finished up at the garage early. I had been working on a 1967 Mustang for weeks, and I finally got the engine running smooth. I felt good, accomplished. I wanted to surprise Harper. I stopped at a florist, grabbed a bouquet of tulips, her favorite. Then I picked up Thai food from the place she loved, the one with the spicy basil chicken she always ordered. I figured we could have a quiet night in, maybe watch a movie, just be together. I let myself into the loft with my key. The lights were on, but Harper did not hear me come in. She was in the bedroom talking on the phone. Her voice was animated, happy. I smiled. I loved hearing her laugh. I set the food down on the kitchen counter and was about to call out to her when I heard my name. I froze. Something in her tone made me stop, made me listen. She was talking to her sister, Diane. I had never met Diane, but Harper mentioned her sometimes. They were close. I heard Diane ask, "So, when is the wedding? You guys have been together 6 months now." Harper laughed, not a sweet laugh, a mocking one. "Wedding, with Giles." "Are you serious?" I felt my chest tighten. Diane said something I could not quite hear. Then Harper spoke again, louder this time. "Relax, sis. I am just using him." The words hit me like a punch. I stood there frozen, the flowers still in my hand. Using him for what Diane asked. Harper sighed like she was explaining something obvious. "He pays for everything. Rent, shopping, dinners. It is perfect. I literally do not spend a dime." But Diane pressed. "Does not he do something with cars? What does he do again?" Harper laughed again. "He is a mechanic, a grease monkey." I heard Diane laugh too. "Oh my God, Harper." And Harper just kept going. I know. But he is generous, and dumb enough to think I actually love him." My heart was pounding in my ears. I could not move, could not breathe. She continued, "I would never marry a grease monkey. Can you imagine introducing him to the partners at my firm? 'Hi, this is my husband. He spends his days covered in oil and smells like a garage.' No thanks." Diane asked what she was going to do. Harper did not miss a beat. "I am just buying time until someone better comes along. Someone with a real career, a lawyer, a finance guy. You know, someone respectable. For now, Giles is convenient. He is a placeholder, and he has no idea." I do not remember dropping the flowers. I do not remember stepping back out into the hallway. All I remember is the sound of her laughter ringing in my ears. 6 months. 6 months of thinking I had found something real. 6 months of her saying "I love you" while looking me in the eye. 6 months of lies. Every kiss, every smile, every moment I thought we were building a future together. It was all fake. I was not her boyfriend. I was her ATM, her convenient dumb grease monkey. I walked out of that building in a daze. I sat in my truck for what felt like hours, staring at nothing. My phone buzzed. A text from Harper. "Where are you? I thought you were coming home early tonight." I did not respond. I could not. Not yet, because the hurt I felt was already turning into something else, something colder. Anger. But not the kind that makes you scream or throw things, the kind that makes you think, the kind that makes you plan. If Harper thought I was just some dumb mechanic, some convenient wallet she could use, until something better came along, she was about to learn a very expensive lesson. I started my truck and drove to an all-night diner on the edge of town. I ordered coffee I did not drink and pulled out my phone. By sunrise, Harper's entire world was about to collapse, and I was going to make sure of it. I sat in that diner booth until 3 in the morning making a list. Everything Harper relied on, everything that had my name on it, the apartment lease, my credit card that she used as an authorized user, the car insurance I paid for her BMW, the phone bill, the gym membership, the streaming services, all of it. Every single thing that made her comfortable, that funded her lifestyle, ran through me, and I was about to cut it all off. First, I called Marcus. He was a lawyer and an old friend from high school. We had stayed close over the years. I knew he would be awake. He was a night owl, always working late. He picked up on the second ring. Giles, what is going on? I told him everything, the phone call, what Harper said, what I wanted to do. Marcus listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Legally, you are in the clear. The apartment is in your name. You can terminate the lease or remove her. The credit card, same thing. She is just an authorized user. You can revoke that any time. Everything else, if you are paying for it, you can stop. She has no legal claim to any of it." That was all I needed to hear. Next, I called my landlord. It was late, but he was an early riser. I left a voicemail. I would not be renewing the lease. It was up in 10 days. I wanted an official eviction notice drawn up for Harper. She was not on the lease. She had no right to stay. I wanted it in writing, legal and clean. By the time the sun started creeping over the horizon, I had a plan. A detailed, methodical plan. I was not going to yell. I was not going to beg for an explanation. I was going to walk back into that loft, look Harper in the eye, and dismantle everything she had built on my back. She wanted someone respectable, someone with a real career. Fine, she could go find him, but she was going to do it without my money. I drove back to the loft around 7 in the morning. Harper was still asleep. I moved quietly through the apartment, packing my things. I did not have much there, some clothes, a few tools I kept in the closet, a framed photo of my dad that I kept on the nightstand. I packed it all into a duffel bag. I was almost done when I heard her voice behind me. "Giles, you are up early." I turned around. I turned. She was standing in the doorway wearing one of my old t-shirts, her hair messy from sleep. She looked confused. "What are you doing?" "We need to talk," I said. My voice was calm, flat. She frowned. "What is wrong? You seem weird." I walked past her into the living room and sat down on the couch. She followed, still looking puzzled. "I came home early last night," I said. She blinked. "Oh, I did not hear you." "I know," I said. "You were on the phone, with Diane." I watched her face carefully, saw the exact moment realization hit. The color drained from her cheeks. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. What phone call she finally managed. I leaned forward, resting my elbows on my knees. "The one where you called me a grease monkey, the one where you said you were just using me, the one where you told your sister you would never marry someone like me because I am not respectable enough." She tried to recover. "Giles, wait, I can explain. That was just girl talk. You know how sisters are. We say things we do not mean. I was just venting. I did not mean any of it." She reached for my hand. I pulled it away. "Save it," I said. "I do not want to hear another lie." I stood up and walked to the kitchen counter. I picked up the eviction notice my landlord had emailed me and printed at a 24-hour shop. I dropped it on the coffee table in front of her. "You have 10 days to move out. This is my apartment." She stared at the paper like it was in a foreign language. "You cannot just kick me out." "Where will I go?" I shrugged. "That is not my problem anymore. You called me convenient." "Well, convenience goes both ways." Her eyes filled with tears. "This is insane. You are being cruel." "I am being a grease monkey," I said. "This is what we do remember." I pulled out my phone and called my credit card company, right there in front of her. I told them I needed to remove an authorized user. I gave them Harper's name. They confirmed it would take effect immediately. I hung up. Harper was staring at me, her face pale. "What did you just do your credit card?" I said. "It is gone. Good luck buying those designer bags now." She stood up, her voice rising. "You cannot do this. I need that card." "For what?" I asked. "To use me some more, to buy things while you wait for someone better to come along." Harper opened her mouth, then closed it. She had no answer. Next, I called the phone company. I canceled her line, told them to disconnect it within 2 hours. Harper lunged for my phone. "You are insane. Stop this." I stepped back. "Your phone," I said. "You have 2 hours before it stops working. Better start figuring out your own plan." She was crying now, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no guilt, just cold, clear resolve. I kept going. I emailed the car insurance company, removing her from my policy. I logged into every streaming account, every subscription service, and changed the passwords. Netflix, Spotify, the gym membership she used every morning. All of it. Gone. Within 20 minutes, I had systematically cut off every single thing she relied on. Harper sank onto the couch, her hands shaking. "I am sorry," she sobbed. "I did not mean it. Please, Giles, I love you." I looked at her, really looked at her, and I realized I felt nothing. No love, no anger, just disappointment. "You love my wallet," I said, "not me." "You never did." She tried to grab my arm. "Where am I supposed to live? What am I supposed to do?" "Call Diane," I said. "Maybe she will let a gold digger crash on her couch." Her tears stopped. Her face twisted into something ugly. "You think you are so great, you are just a mechanic. No woman wants to be with someone who smells like oil. You will never find anyone better than me." I picked up my duffel bag and slung it over my shoulder. "You are right," I said. "I am just a grease monkey. But I am a grease monkey who owns his own business, who owns property, who has investments, who is smart enough to know when he is being used. You wanted someone respectable? Go find them. But you will have to do it on your own dime." I walked to the door. Harper was screaming now, but I did not turn around. 10 days, Harper. Then the locks change. I closed the door behind me and walked out of that building. Her voice faded as I got into my truck. I sat there for a moment, gripping the steering wheel, and then I drove back to the garage, back to the place where I had always belonged. And for the first time in months, I felt free. The next 10 days were quiet. Harper did not call. She could not. Her phone was disconnected. She did not email or show up at the garage. I heard through mutual acquaintances that she had moved in with Diane temporarily, that she was scrambling to figure out her finances, that she had to downgrade pretty much everything. I did not feel victorious. I did not feel satisfied by her struggles. I just felt at peace. On the 10th day, I went back to the loft to make sure she was gone. The place was empty. She had taken her things and left the keys on the counter. No note, no apology, just silence. I stood in that empty apartment for a minute looking around. This place had never felt like home. It was just another thing I thought I was supposed to do, rent a nice place, impress the girl, build a life. But it was all hollow. I called my landlord and told him I was done with the lease. He found a new tenant within a week. Harper tried to reach out a few times after that. She sent emails from a new account, long, rambling messages about how sorry she was, how she had made a mistake, how she realized what she had lost. I deleted them without reading past the first few lines. She showed up at the garage once. My lead mechanic, Jake, was working the front desk that day. He told me she came in asking to see me. He said she looked rough, tired, desperate. I told him to send her away. Boss said, "You are not welcome here," he told her. She left without a fight. I did not block her number because I did not need to. She stopped trying after that. I heard she moved back to Connecticut, back in with her parents, that she had to take a lower-paying job because she could not afford the lifestyle she had gotten used to. I did not feel sorry for her. She had made her choices. She had used someone who cared about her, and when it all fell apart, she had no one to blame but herself. The weeks turned into months. I threw myself into work. I took on a restoration project that had been sitting on the back burner for years. A 1970 Plymouth Barracuda. The owner had passed away, and his son wanted it brought back to life as a tribute. It was meticulous work, hundreds of hours of sanding, welding, painting, rebuilding, but it was exactly what I needed. Something to pour my energy into, something that mattered. I also started reconnecting with people I had drifted away from during my time with Harper, old friends from high school. Guys I used to grab beers with on Fridays. I had let those friendships slide because Harper always had plans, always wanted to do something else. Now I realized how much I had missed those connections. Real connections. People who knew me before the money, before the business. People who did not care that I smelled like a garage. I even started mentoring a young kid who wanted to learn the trade. His name was Danny. 19 years old, fresh out of high school, no idea what he wanted to do with his life. He showed up one day asking if I needed help. I almost turned him away. But something about his eagerness reminded me of myself at that age. So I took him on, taught him the basics, how to change oil, how to diagnose problems, how to respect the work. He soaked it all up like a sponge. Watching him learn, watching him light up when he figured something out, reminded me why I loved this job in the first place. One afternoon, a woman came into the shop. She was maybe 45, dressed in scrubs, looked exhausted. Her car had broken down on the highway, and a tow truck had brought it in. She needed a new alternator. But when I gave her the estimate, she started crying. She said she was a single mom working double shifts at the hospital, and she did not have the money right then. She needed the car to get to work. I looked at her, saw the desperation in her eyes, and I made a decision. I will fix it, I said. You can pay me when you can. She shook her head. I cannot ask you to do that. You are not asking, I said. I am offering. It took me 3 hours to replace the alternator and check everything else under the hood. When I was done, I told her the car was ready. She asked how much she owed me. Nothing, I said. Just take care of yourself and your kids. She started crying again, thanked me over and over, said I was a blessing. And in that moment, standing in my garage grease under my nails, I realized something. This was what real respect looked like. Not designer bags or fancy dinners or trying to impress people who did not matter. It was helping someone when they needed it. It was doing work that made a difference. It was being proud of who you were, no matter what anyone else thought. Harper never understood that. She measured worth in titles and paychecks and appearances. She thought being a mechanic was beneath her, that I was beneath her. But she was wrong. There is honor in honest work. There is value in building something with your own hands. And I was done letting anyone make me feel small for doing what I loved. I am still single, still running the garage, still driving my old truck. My hands are still stained and I still smell like motor oil more often than not. But I am happy, genuinely, deeply happy. I wake up every morning excited to get to work. I am surrounded by people who respect what I do, who see the value in it, and I have learned to see it in myself. I think about Harper sometimes, not with anger or bitterness, just with a kind of sad understanding. She will probably never be happy, not really, because she is always going to be looking for something better, someone richer, someone more impressive, someone who fits the image she has in her head, and she will never realize that the best things in life are not about image. They are about substance, about connection, about being with someone who sees you, really sees you, and loves you anyway. I will find that someday, maybe. Or maybe I will not. And that is okay too, because I would rather be alone and at peace than with someone who makes me feel like I am not enough. I know my worth now. I know what I bring to the table. And I know that anyone who cannot see that does not deserve a seat. So here is what I learned from all of this. Love cannot be built on lies. It just cannot. If someone is ashamed of you, if they hide you or diminish you or use you, that is not love. That is convenience. And you deserve better than that. We all do. Better to walk away no matter how much it hurts than to stay with someone who will never truly value you. I also learned that money reveals character. When Harper thought I was just some broke mechanic, she stayed because I was paying for everything. She never loved me. She loved what I could give her. And when I took that away, there was nothing left. Real love does not disappear when the money does. Real love sticks around through the hard times, through the grease stains and the long hours and the unglamorous reality of everyday life. And maybe most importantly, I learned to be proud of who I am. I am a grease monkey. I work with my hands. I fix things. I build things. And there is nothing shameful about that. There is nothing less than about that. It is honest work. It is meaningful work. And I am done apologizing for it. Sometimes the trash takes itself out. You just have to be willing to hold the door open. Harper walked out of my life and I let her go. I did not chase her. I did not beg her to stay. I just stepped aside and let her leave. And my life is better for it. I am better for it. I am a grease monkey. But I am a grease monkey who knows his worth. And that is worth more than any designer bag Harper ever wanted. If someone cannot love you at your most real, they do not deserve you at your best. And I am done settling for anything less than someone who loves all of me. Grease stains and all. So what about you? Have you ever been underestimated or used by someone you trusted? Have you ever had to walk away from someone who did not see your value? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one. And if this story resonated with you, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, someone who is questioning their worth, someone who needs a reminder that they are enough exactly as they are. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And remember, you are worth more than how anyone else sees you. Stay strong, stay proud, and never let anyone make you feel small for being exactly who you are.